Hi, and welcome to the Guardian Way. Today's episode 125, deals with the whole issue of workplace violence prevention programs, which are a mandatory requirement since 2024 in California. Our co-host and, of course, presenter for this entire series is Garrett Thomas, the founder of Guardian Protection Force. Good morning, Garrett.
Good morning. Yeah, as you stated, in California, this is, a requirement. In other states, they probably will receive requirements like this eventually. But right now we're speaking to California businesses. I know we have a few people on here who, are from different states who regularly visit our podcast.
Okay, great. Well, listen, why don't you take us through? Because again, I think for all the businesses that are in California or that maybe have an office here in California, these are compliance requirements. So take us through some of the issues that they may fall prey to from an adverse standpoint if they don't have this program in place.
Sure. Yeah, so regulatory fines and compliance violations, that's something you don't want. You don't want California to impose fines and violations. Non-compliance could trigger inspections and citations from Cal OSHA. Those inspections themselves can be, disruptive. So, that's something you just don't want if you can avoid it. Fines can escalate quickly. Lack of documentation, training logs, and incident records is one of the most common and costly. Increased legal liabilities and lawsuits. So without current program, companies are exposed to significant legal risk. Of course, these are some of the problems a company could be faced with for not being in compliance. But the worst, of course, is the possible harm of their employees or even possible death. Higher probability of workplace incidents. So, we talk a lot about preventing these situations from occurring in the first place. Without having your employees trained on that, on how to prevent these situations from occurring, you might have more of these types of situations. A program that isn't updated becomes ineffective. So we see this a lot where somebody produces some sort of program, but it's never trained, rehearsed. Employees don't know that it exists. As you get new employees, they've never heard of it. Operational disruption and productivity loss. This is a big one. So, if you're on the news and there's a, XYZ company just had this big issue, it's damaging to the reputation, and that's a pretty costly situation for a company. So reputation damage and talent retention issues. So if your reputation is damaged, then it's a lot harder to get good talent, and that's probably one of the hardest things. All these companies need good employees, good talent. If your employees don't feel safe, it's very, very unlikely that you'll get good employees.
Well, this is great information, Garrett, and I think our audience can get a lot from this, because I think the main point we're trying to get across here today is that it's not just a thing of saying, oh, yeah, I've got to put something together, but you've really got to have something active and in place, because if you don't, you really don't want to run afoul to the state of California and start having audits taking place and agencies coming in to look at your business for reasons that shouldn't even be necessary by getting this done. So why don't you close off our podcast today? And of course, workplace violence prevention is one of the main things that we provide. So why don't you close us out today and tell our audience a little bit more about what Guardian can provide?
Absolutely. And as you alluded to there, it's really important to create a safety and accountability culture at your organization. It's not enough to just throw out programs, but you have to create that kind of culture. So some of the things that we provide: no fee site assessment, workplace violence prevention, AI camera solutions, garden patrol services, security operations plans, assessments, and audits, contentious termination services, and executive protection. Well, until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you then.